didn't even start it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, most of restaurants have automated system. So the same waiter is putting the information inside of the tablet, phone, or whatever, and after he confirm, the information goes in real time to the kitchen. And they have a planning software, and they know exactly which order they should do in which time. Also, they can optimize what they are doing. It wasn't anything which
Yeah,
would...
and you're eliminating a lot of things that are needed, but on the other hand, I would really like to skip them, like validating the ticket inside of the bus, right? You can
Exactly.
eliminate all that.
Exactly.
You're actually eliminating a lot of things. You're eliminating the need for a person that sells those tickets, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're eliminating the need of printing that ticket. So you're kind of maybe caring for the environment in the same time.
Mm-hmm. Parts of the production process, let's say. So, digitization, it's as simply as I can tell it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to use computers to actually change the manual work or manual reports or manual paper data to digitized data, which is actually on computer or on server or whatever.
That would be my question. Sorry to interrupt. That would be my question. Different parts of digitalization. To me, it sounds like most companies, they are only focusing on some parts of the digitalization. They are focusing on that. They are missing the big picture. So they just, observing certain things that they can automate, optimize, digitalize, and then they go for it. And from my experience, at the end of the day, there is 1,700 different optimized, digitalized processes, and then there's different pieces of software that help with that. But at the end, it's not integrated. They cannot use it because there is so many of them, and they have to go to each one of them, to collect the data. So at the end of the day, they are kind of digitalized, but they did that without a roadmap.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachovich, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes.
Welcome to the second episode of the Digital Twin Podcast. This is the first actual episode when we will talk about the digitalization process and how to adapt it in real businesses. This is Paul Pachovich.
And Adrian Stelmach.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let's start. I think we should start this episode to explain the difference.
Yes, I know the guy to explain it.
Okay.
And I'm not the guy.
Okay.
You're the guy.
Okay, thank you.
You're the guy that can explain the difference between digitalization and digitization. You have to say it.
Digitization. Yeah.
Digitization and digitalization.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's explain the differences, and then I think we should talk about a real life examples, and then go to the main part of the episode when we'll talk about the production components and how to actually adopt the digitalization in different parts of the production process, let's say. So digitization, it's as simply as I can tell it. It's a way to use computers to actually change the manual work or manual reports or manual paper data to digitized data, which is actually on computer or on server or whatever. Okay? So this is digitization. We know digitization since the computers were known.
So let's say that we have a piece of paper and there is some data there that the people that work in certain factory or certain office, they write them down, right?
Yeah.
And the digitized version of it would be Excel? for
Yeah,
example?
let's
Or
say it's or Microsoft Word, right?
okay.
You're writing a report.
So even simple tasks of you know collecting the same pieces of information, but
Mhm.
using Excel or Word, this is already digitization, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
of
and
that
you can
information.
say
Okay.
that there's not a lot of companies which aren't digitized already
Mm.
because most of the companies use computers
To some level, right?
or to some
Yes.
level, yeah, to some level. But the difference between digitalization and digitization is actually the process, because digitalization is a strategical way
Mm.
how to transform the business model from a standard manual model
Okay.
without using the high tech technology to a model which you can use this technology. And for example, there's a lot of things related also in the process with the change management.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, and why we want to do it. Most of the companies or clients which are decided to actually uh, implement some parts of digitalization, because
Mm-hmm.
we can talk about different technologies.
That would be my question. Sorry to
Mhm.
interrupt. That would be
Yeah.
my question. Different parts of digitalization. To me, it sounds like most companies, they are only focusing on some parts of the digitalization. They are focusing on that, and they are missing the big picture. So they just observing certain things that they can automate, optimize, digitalize, and then they go for it.
Mhm.
And from my experience, at the end of the day, there is 1,700 different optimized, digitalized processes, and there's different pieces of software that help with that. But at the end, it's not integrated.
Yeah.
They cannot use it because there is so many of them, and they have to go to each one of them, to collect the data. So at the end of the day, they are kind of digitalized,
Mhm.
but they did that without a roadmap,
Yeah.
without a purpose at the
Yes,
very end.
that's a real problem, and the problem, the beginning of this problem is that because, for example, 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we didn't have such a complex software,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have such a complex approach,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because we were thinking, okay, we had a problem, for example, with that our sales department doesn't report what they are actually doing, or they are reporting, but it's on paper. No one knows what's going on. Actually, we only see when we have to have the invoice going on, but we don't know what's exactly before that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, okay, let's buy a CRM software. Let's do that. And the way people change to think right now
Mm-hmm.
is that we can think, okay, this is a CRM, but the question is, what CRM we have to purchase
Mm-hmm.
to be to integrate it with other parts of our business. So, for example, ERP system or planning, production planning. Let's say if it's a production company with like some data from the production, right? With some data from efficiency, with marketing, with cost effectiveness, and so on. But what I wanted to tell you also as an example of
Mm-hmm.
digitalization, um, to make it simplified, let's say that you want to buy a bus ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like 10 or 20 years ago, to buy a bus ticket, you had to go to like a local shop which sells the bus tickets. You have to wait in a queue, which sometimes is unpleasant or it's a waste of time, you can say. Uh, you have to go, you have to pay with your money, you have the ticket, then you have to wait until you put the ticket in the machine if you're inside of the bus. And then you say, okay, I am good because I actually, I'm here, I'm traveling with the bus legally, you can say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have the experience is that you are traveling with the bus in a
Mm-hmm.
legal way and you paid
Mm-hmm.
for it, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
the experience and the
Mm-hmm.
final conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, you have the same thing. You can be in the bus and travel fully legally, but you can do it on your phone. Let's say you don't have to go to shop. You don't have to wait. You just take your phone, you purchase the ticket in the phone, you open it, and that's it. Sometimes you have to scan it. Sometimes it's like a time counting that you're traveling the bus. And this is, I would say, the most simply way to show you that the same effect, final effect, could be done without some things.
Yeah, could be achieved much simpler.
Yeah,
right?
in a simpler way, without wasting, for example, time for the things which doesn't give you a value. Because waiting, for example, in a queue in this case was not a value for you. You didn't. It wasn't anything which.
Yeah, and you're eliminating a lot of things that are needed, but on the other hand, I would really like to skip them, like validating the ticket inside of the bus, right? You can eliminate all that.
Exactly.
You're actually eliminating a lot of things. You're eliminating the need for a person that sells those tickets, right? You're eliminating the need of printing that ticket. So you're kind of maybe caring for the environment in the same time. So what changes is the amount of work and the amount of time that you need to spend when purchasing a ticket.
Yeah. Yes, and the problem is that we see the good things about it because we work with this kind of technology, but not everyone see the good things right away, right? So the change management, the process to actually show people why the benefits of this this new approach, I would say, it needs time, and this is the same thing in every kind of business which we touch, or any kind of sector which we touch regarding to digitalization. I'll tell you another example. Let's say we were buying bus ticket, now we're going to restaurant, right? So you sit in the table, you're waiting for a waiter.
By the way, I love those examples because they are super simple, but they actually tell you what digitalization or digitization is.
Yes.
Both of those things.
Yeah. So, okay, we are sitting in the table in the restaurant. The waiter comes to us and he say, okay, what do you guys want to order? And of course, we'll say, okay, we want to that and that and that. And what he does, and like 20 years ago, he just put it in the paper, right? He say, okay, one this, two this, and so on. And then what he have to do, he have to go inside of the restaurant and give this paper to the chef, to the kitchen, right? But the problem is, if he stops, like for example, in one table, second table, he have to go to toilet, he have to discuss with something, someone have a problem, maybe he was stressed about it, and so on. There is a delay between the time he take your order to the time he actually give the order to the kitchen. Let's say it's 10 minutes. So this 10 minutes, you're sitting, maybe you're hungry, you're waiting, and and the process of preparing your meal didn't even start it, right? Nowadays, most of restaurants have automated system. So the same waiter is putting the information inside of the tablet, phone, or whatever, and after he confirm, the information goes in real time to the kitchen. And they have a planning software, and they know exactly which order they should do in which time. Also, they can optimize what they are doing, because if they say, okay, there's 4 guys which are ordering the same soup, we can just boil the soup in the same time. We don't have to boil one piece, then second, and so on, right? Because there's a software which is telling us what to do.
That's actually happening?
That's actually happening, yeah. Okay. I don't know if you noticed, because, sometimes when I'm going to different places, I see a new software in the restaurant, I'm like really hyped, and I'm talking with the waiter. How does it work?
I know, it works the way that the kitchen staff, they can see in real time whatever the customers are ordering, but I didn't know that they can kind of like cook it together, you know, just to save time and be more efficient. I didn't know this software actually helps with that. I kind of
It could, you know, because there's a lot of different softwares on the market. I'm not a specialist, of course, but
you sound like a specialist.
I'm not a specialist from this kind of a software. But I will not tell you about restaurants. I want to tell you one more thing. Okay, so because there's also restaurants, and you can imagine restaurants where is no waiters, or the waiter is just, you know, bringing you the meal, but you are not ordering it, because there's like a QR code on the table. You scan the QR code, you go to an app, you order in the app, you purchase, maybe you pay even in the app. But I see the problem with it, okay? And I think that it's a fundamental problem regarding to digitalization, because people, it's not like, I don't like this kind of restaurants, to be honest, because for me, going to a restaurant, it's also an experience.
Yes.
And talking to this waiter, like asking him, okay, what's fresh? Like what is the freshest thing today? Or what today, for example, you have, and it's not in the menu because they don't,
what's today's special?
Yeah, what's today's special? Maybe there's some deal today. Maybe they have, you know, fresh fish or something like that. The app, maybe it will tell you, but the problem with the apps is that I'm not sure if the UX of the app is that easy for me that I can find it right away, right?
Sure.
So that's the problem. And if I talk to a real person, he can tell me, okay, you know what kind of person you are, like what you're interested in, you know, how hungry you are, which one, and you know, a few minutes with this guy, he will tell me exactly what I want to hear, and I want to talk with this person. I don't want to talk with the app. So
Absolutely.
for me, this is a good way to use digitalization. So there's a person, and the person uses actual mind power and actual knowledge, and you know, and the relation between between this waiter. This is the fundament and actually the power of the restaurant, because, you know, without it I can just order to go and stuff like that.
Sure, that's a good example. I'm sure we can talk about some other examples that are more related to manufacturing. Maybe.
Okay.
Like
let's talk about e-commerce also. Related with manufacturing. So let's say you want to buy a window shutter, right? Of course, every window is different, so you have to, you know, you have to have a shutter which is like exactly
right for you,
the size of your window. You want to choose a different color and so on. So you can do it in a different ways. Like 20 years ago, probably you had to go to a specific place, like a shop or like a business unit of the production company, and you talk to a guy. You say, okay, I want to buy a window shutter, and he tell you, okay, so we have to put our guys to your apartment. They will, you know, they will check your windows and so on, and we will order it and
like customize it for you.
And we will customize it for you, and you know, after a few months you'll be good. You'll have your shutter. Nowadays, the process can look differently, because you go to an e-commerce website of this company, and there's like a manual what you have to do. Let's go to window, take this size, take the other size, put it here, how many centimeters it is, or inches. You can choose the color, and you can just purchase the shutter from the website, right? And after you purchase it, this order goes directly to planning system, right?
Okay.
So there's no man between it. There doesn't have to be a man between the e-commerce and the planning. So it goes to planning, and in the email, which is from the company for you, it says, okay, after our AI or whatever analyze the entire planning, tells us that the shutter for you, it will be after 45 days, right?
I question, because just by looking at it, I would assume that when you're buying the shutter through the website, you're basically looking at some, like a storage that they keep all that, and I would say that they have to make sure that they have it in stock, and then you're just purchasing that because they have some kind of storage that they keep it in. But what you're saying is this is directly connected to the production.
Exactly.
So you're not buying something that exists.
Yes.
You're customizing your sale, and you're buying something that they will produce, the shortest time possible, right?
Yeah, this is like a very innovative kind of inline sales, you can say, right? That you are not buying anything which is in the stock. It doesn't exist. There's only a raw material. There's also the color, the paint, but the entire process starts in the day which is planned.
With you filling in the information
exactly.
on the website.
Maybe you are the first person who buy this kind of a shutter. It could be like that.
Okay, but how is that? Like
it's only an example.
Sure, but I just have a question.
Sure, feel free.
A question related to this process.
Yeah.
From my understanding and from my experience with factories or production plants, usually it takes time to like reassemble the production line. How the production line can be so responsive to the order that you place through the website? How is it possible that you can choose different color, that you can, unless it works in batches and they just collect all the orders and they create the whatever we were talking about, shutters in batches, and let's say somebody wants a brown one, so the brown one will be produced a week from now because they're just collecting all the orders now. How does that work?
I think it's for a lot of companies it's very difficult because if you don't have a lot of machines and the switching between different kind of as you said products or batches, it's difficult sometimes. I'm not saying it's every business can work like that and you can connect it directly to e-commerce, but you can imagine it could work. For example, batching, and you have really good planning system which shows, okay, we have like few of those batches, we can just connect it together and just produce it in one time, right?
It's similar to collecting several orders and cooking or making that soup at the same time, right?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
very similar. If we are to give another example, maybe the last one for now. Something more related to invoicing or invoicing in general, because I know this is a huge part of digitization processes, because it has been done manually for a very long time. Right now we have the proper technology, the proper algorithms that can take care of it. Can we discuss that? Because as this is, I'm sure a lot of people already experience that you don't have to do any manual work with the invoice anymore. It's just done automatically. Can you elaborate on that?
Because invoices, it's a good way to start. For example, the digitalization.
Meaning that it's just an easy way?
Yeah, it's an easy way, because let's say you have one accountant in your company, right? And what he is doing, if like what he was doing like 20 years ago, maybe he was writing down all of the invoices at the same time, right? It could be like that. But how much time you spend if you have the same customer, let's say, and every time you put the same names, the same accounts, and so on, right? So this is a problem. And software, there's a lot of software for digitalization, the invoices. So you, for example, open the software, you only put the customer name, and all of the data is automated. Then you put the amount of money. You put the send button, and it goes directly to email to your customer, right? Or your business partner. And this is the easy way to do it, to start, because it's it's simple to even explain what will be the difference. It's very simple to, for example, show the ROI, right? Because you can just count the time for this person. But the problem is in this kind of applications is if you want to buy the automated invoices software, like it will be like a standalone application, right? Or you have a picture, it will be just a start for other modules, right? Because, you know, if you put the invoice, it means it's a cost for you, but it's cost related with what exactly, right? So you have an automated software, but how you want to connect it with your income, that's the problem. So for example, if you're doing a roadmap, which you talked about before, you say, okay, I want to know exactly, for example, how my shutters cost. I have to buy paint, I have to buy raw materials, I have to pay for my SAS software, right? For invoices. And I want to know the cost. So I want to put the parts of those invoices inside of the cost bucket related with my final product, right? So I have this vision. And after I have this vision, I can describe the entire roadmap and say, okay, I will start with the invoices because it's really easy, but I know that the next module of the same software will be related to connect those two dots. So the product or the project, let's say, with this invoice.
Okay. So from what you're saying, it seems that every single business could benefit from digitalization and digitization processes.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe we could explore that a little bit more. Because we went through some examples of what's possible, and there were great examples because they showed us that pretty much every single company we know is in some way digitalized or digitized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why you should think that digitization can help any business?
I think it's also very important in sales, for example, right? Because I think the fundament is sales and marketing, and a lot of companies are starting with sales and marketing their role with digitalization. Why is that? Because let's say you don't have a website, or you're not in Google, you're not existing in Google, you're not existing in social media, right? So, for example, the only way your customer can contact you is physically go to your shop, okay? And let's say that you're busy in this shop. So I'm coming inside of your shop and I see that there's a lot of people everyone is busy, no one wants to contact me, so what I'm doing? I'm going out and I'm going to another shop. So you had a lead, you could earn money from me, but the problem was you didn't convert it. The same thing is with the phone call, right? So I'm calling to you, but your number is busy, right? So
I'm just gonna call another business, right?
Exactly. I'm going to another person, right? Because I had a problem right now. I'm in a problem, and I decided, okay, I don't know you or any kind of business. Let's say I'm in a new place and I want to just cut my hair. Okay, that's a very simple example, right? I don't know who's good, who's not. I'm going to Google. I'm taking the references from a different people who are cutting hair. I'm going to a guy who have the best references, right? But his phone is busy. So what should I do? I'm calling to another person. But if you have a website where I'm going to a website and I'm planning, it's not like if you cut me or not. I'm planning the exact date where you're going to cut me. I don't have to, no one have to spend their time to talk to me. I'm just going, okay, today I want to cut my hair after 3 p.m. I'm going to upset. Okay, that's perfect. 6 p.m. I'm purchasing. There's an order already inside. So I think this is the fundament of any kind of business. So, and the problem is the next steps. So, okay, sales, but what, to just take this cutting hair example. So after this purchase, what is going on with this information.
Sure, and that's just becoming more and more popular. It's just becoming a standard, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the younger generations, the younger people. They don't. I think they don't even. Of course, they know how to, pick up the phone and make a phone call and book a meeting or yeah. But now it becomes that they don't want to do it anymore. So for the younger generation, it's a standard procedure, to book classes online, right? So that changes a lot. So if you wanna like keep up and keep the relationship with current customers, right? With the customers that are buying your services, it's rather important to implement digitization of your processes.
Yeah, you have a natural generation replacement, right? And you have to work with your current customers, but you also have to think about people who doesn't know how the things work like 20 or 30 years ago. Also, you have to think about people who are working to you. And let's take a production company, for example, right?
That's a great example.
We have a person who wants to work in a production company who have, let's say, 18 years, right? And he only knows how smartphone looks like, how smartphone works. Most of the interfaces which he's using daily, it's his phone, so he's using his thumb. And now someone tells him, okay, we have this process. It looks manual. You have to push these buttons and stuff like that. And it could be a first time when this person actually see a way that there's not a touch screen, an interface to him, right?
Absolutely.
So digitalization also helps preparing how to be prepared for the new generation which comes to work.
Yeah, but like on the other hand, whenever you're looking at the ROI on certain investments, again, let's take a production company as an example. The other way around would be when you're introducing this digitalization of certain processes, and the people that are used to manual work, they are very often not capable of understanding that in a way that they can be efficient, and that can create issues and problems when you're digitalizing production lines or manual work, because the people that are used to doing this manually, they're not big fans of the digitalized way, because then they have to interact with the screen, which maybe they are not used to, or they don't feel like interacting. So we have to think about the ROI in terms of that, this will digitalization will make the processes more efficient. But on the other hand, the human factor is there, right? So we can't just looking at the ROI. We have to understand the surroundings, and we have to understand that there are people that need to be able to use that technology, right?
Yeah. We're going now to change management, right? Because the change management job have to be done well. I mean, people have to understand, even the examples you talk about, they have to understand the benefits. Every project I was working with, the succeeded one was that when we were trying to with customer to show the benefits to all of the group of the interest, right? Let's say the example you told about, right? So we have we previously we had a, let's say, manual report which you have to fill with your pencil. Now you have to use the touch screen, right? So if you tell me, you go to me, let's say I'm the person who's responsible for it. You tell me, okay, you will not fill the report anymore. You have to touch the screen. I will not exactly understand why there was this change. But if you tell me, okay, you know what? We don't want you to be responsible for the data which is related with the machine, okay? Because it's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to help, for example, the machine to work.
Okay, so you
And this is the different way how to explain why we want to use the technology in this sector. And now I understand. Now maybe I will be defined. I will say, okay, that's great, because I was stressed about filling the report every day, and now I don't have to do it. I can focus on my on what I'm actually good at.
So, but you're talking about a scenario that there's no input of information, so of data. So you're not even touching any screen, right? It's kind of automatic process of collecting the data, and
it could be automatic. I'm just saying an example that there's no automatization. Just replace the paper with the, let's say, tablet or HMI screen.
But if you're dealing with a tablet, you're still dealing with some kind of data input, right?
Yes, that's true. But for example, let's say
we were talking about like PLC, right? So it can be done automatically without a person there, right?
Yeah, it could be done automatically, but it depends on the machine, right? Because sometimes you have a manual process. There's no PLC, there's no indicators, right? So you can say, okay, this person is doing manual work, but let's just not spend every 2 minutes on every production, in every product which is being produced. Let's spend 0 minutes on that or 30 seconds and just put the information in
because
the HMI.
This time adds up, and at the end of the day, we can find out that that particular employee spent 45 minutes to an hour just inputting data, right?
Yeah,
which
exactly.
could be done automatically.
Exactly. And for example, you're going to work next day, and your boss is talking to you, okay, because you gave me the report previously, like the day before, but I don't understand what is actually written. Because you read it in a way, it's really,
handwriting is terrible.
Yeah, your handwriting is really terrible, right? And you're stressing me now. So there's a lot of things going on in this kind of process.
When we're talking about this handwriting and of input of data manually, another thing comes to mind: the reduction of human error. Maybe even like complete elimination of human error, right?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about a process that is fully automated, then that person is not even touching any screen, right? It's just maybe not even aware of the fact that the information is being transferred to some kind of ERP system or whatever, right?
Yeah, I would say that a really high-level automation company, it's a company, and if you ask me what is the main focus on the digitalization at this kind of companies, it will be, I would say, to optimize the communication between machines and between people and systems, right? What do I mean? Let's say you have 3 different machines, right? They are producing 3 different things, but they are connected to each other. So if you're producing on machine 1, you give this product to machine 2, then you give it to machine 3, right? So this is a three-level process. If the machines are connected to each other and they are talking to each other, it means that, for example, if the machine 1 have a problem, the machine 2 knows right away that there's a problem, and it can adopt right away to do something in the time during this problem. So I can say, okay, so I'm just doing something else on this machine. Maybe I can make a break right now. I can do anything to use this time in a more efficient way. Okay? So, but if there's no communication between those 3 machines, what I should do? Maybe I should just go to this person, tell him, the second person, the third one. So there's if everything is okay, the process goes on, you don't see the benefits directly. But if there's any kind of problem, which is not in the scenario for today, like let's change the plan or let's do something else because just customer called us, there's a lot of things which makes delays in the process.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If there's no interruptions, you just keep going. But if you have to adjust in the real time that your production, then it just it becomes an issue, right? Because there's no way to do it if it's all done manually. You don't have access to real time data. Another thing that that digitization can help with is eliminating the need of resources, but in a good way. I think I would say in a really good way, because sometimes or very often these days production companies are dealing with the problem of not having enough people, not having enough staff, not having enough, people to actually do the labor, do the work. So if you're, it sounds kind of obvious, right? But if you are running a company that requires a lot of labor and you cannot get that labor, there are two outcomes. You can't really produce the amount that you are able to produce because you don't have those people that can help with production. And the other outcome would be you simply you have no choice but to make your products super expensive, right? So I think optimizing, and there's a problem with understanding what digitization and digitalization of processes actually do. They do not get rid of people, and even if they do it in a way that they are optimizing the production, or they are actually increasing the potential of production by eliminating certain things of the whole process that are just not needed there, right?
Yeah, that's correct. I would say, because sometimes people are thinking like, okay, but we will automatize, so it means that we want to reduce people. It's not like that, because in a production company there's a lot of things which is going on. Of course, there's a manual work, or there's a production process when people are working with, but also there's a lot of planning going on. There's people who are managing, there's quality control, there's engineering, there's investments, there's sales. There's a lot of different departments when you can use experienced people. And it's really important to know that, I will tell you an example. Korea is now the country in the world which have the most robots per 10,000 employees, right? And in the same time, their unemployment rate, it's like 3%. So it's like in different places in the world, it's like exactly the same. Even in some places, the indicators is like 10 times less than in Korea, let's say, right? So if you see very optimized processes, you see high technology in companies, it doesn't mean that there's no people need.
Yeah, so let's...
You have to just use these people and use these resources, would you say, in the right way, when our minds can really make the difference.
Sure. So we have two factories, and they both employ 100 people, but the factory in Korea is probably more effective. The same amount of people, they can produce better results.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So also there's problems because let's say a lot of things related with the production process is in the heads of people, right? And it's very unsafe, because, for example, someone will change his work, maybe someone will go to retire, someone is sick, and there's a problem, because there could be a
knowledge transfer.
Yeah, the knowledge transfer, that's a problem. And if you have a technology which actually helps you to manage this knowledge and automatize some of the processes, so you don't have to have the knowledge, it helps you to improve or to work, even if there's a problem with people who knows how to actually deal with this specific area of your business.
Absolutely. I think that's all for today.
Yeah,
that was a good one. I think that's all for today, and I guess I will see you and whoever is interested in what we talk about next week.
Yeah, but we should say the summary in the end. Like, what is your one thing which is like a thing which you want to take from this episode? What would it be?
The takeaway for me would be the fact that I knew that when you're purchasing things purchasing things through the website, I knew that there's no people involved, right, in the whole process. But I was not that aware of the fact that it's all like customized in a way that you're not buying an existing product. You're actually buying something. You're actually creating that product, or you're putting in the data that will result in a product that you like, and that connection between the website that collects the information and helps with the payment processing, and all that data goes to the production line. That's pretty unbelievable. I don't think this is happening real time, but the fact that there's no people involved, or maybe some people involved in the whole process, this is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, I'm not saying it have to work like that, right? But there are examples.
There are companies and factories that do it. I'm for sure, right?
Yeah, exactly. I even know one because I was working with it. Yeah. And
what about you?
Yeah, for me, I think what I want to leave the viewer or the listener of our podcast with in the end will be that the digitalization always is related with change how the people work in the company or in the business. So it's not only buying the important thing is not only the buying the software or hardware or robot or whatever, but it's also important how you communicate the need of this change. And the way you will communicate, it will define how this change will be adopted in the company and how the people will be happy about it. Right. Because a lot of processes, you can really do a good thing to everyone. Like everyone could be a benefit of the new technology. But the problem will be if you can communicate in a right way.
Right. Absolutely. Best summary ever.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, and let's talk about something interesting next time.
Sure. So please leave a comment or subscription. If you don't agree with us, it will be a good input.
If you agree with us, also leave a comment.
Yeah, it will be a good input for the next episode. So thank you very much, and see you next week.
Thank you.